Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor is reportedly preparing to leave Royal Lodge, the sprawling estate he has long called home. His impending move to a smaller property on the Sandringham estate, triggered by shifting royal priorities and lingering scandals, mirrors the slow dismantling of his former status. As his belongings are packed into storage and whispers grow louder about financial and reputational consequences, his place in royal life is being both physically and symbolically reduced. If you love getting the real story behind the palace walls, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. Meanwhile, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie continue to engage with the family publicly, invited to events he is excluded from. This relocation is more than just real estate. It's part of a visible strategy to manage legacy and loyalty. With each quiet exit, Andrew becomes a case study in what happens when private controversy meets public responsibility. The monarchy appears determined to protect its narrative, and Andrew's downsizing signals a high cost of falling out of favor in a family that now values distance over discomfort. Prince Andrew was not inside Buckingham Palace when the royal family gathered for King Charles' annual pre-Christmas lunch. Instead, he was photographed riding alone on horseback through Windsor, in the rain, at the exact time the rest of the family arrived smiling for cameras. No crowds, no warmth, just Andrew, a horse, and a grey, damp afternoon. The contrast was immediate and impossible to ignore. While this lunch is traditionally a carefully managed display of unity, Andrew's absence wasn't quiet or discreet. It was visual. His posture appeared stiff, his expression closed off, and the setting could not have been more isolating. This was not a man slipping out the back door. This was someone very publicly elsewhere. If you love getting the real story behind the palace walls, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. Royal watchers were quick to point out that the timing mattered. Andrew's ride happened as cars rolled into the palace, as greetings were exchanged, and as a usual holiday narrative played out without him. Whether intentional or unavoidable, the image landed with force. He was physically removed from the scene and symbolically removed from the family moment. Inside Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere was entirely different. The annual pre-Christmas lunch has long served as a visual reassurance that, no matter the year's turbulence, the family still comes together. Members arrived smiling, dressed for the occasion, reinforcing continuity and tradition. This year, the guest list quietly told its own story. Andrew was not expected, and no effort was made to disguise his absence. The palace did not attempt to soften the optics or redirect attention. The message was not delivered through statements or briefings. It was delivered through presence and absence. The palace setting amplified the divide. Warm interiors, familiar rituals, and coordinated arrivals contrasted sharply with the images coming from Windsor. The royal family has always understood symbolism, and this moment relied entirely on it. Nothing needed to be explained. The images spoke clearly enough. King Charles' role in this moment cannot be separated from the larger picture. Since becoming monarch, he has taken a firmer stance on defining who represents the institution and who does not. Andrew's removal from official duties and loss of titles were not symbolic gestures. They were structural decisions. The Christmas lunch fell under that same logic. It was not a public event, but it was a visible one. Allowing Andrew to attend would have undermined the boundaries already drawn. His exclusion reinforced a position Charles has maintained, that the monarchy must protect itself from reputational damage, even when that damage involves close family. Reports suggest this approach is deliberate rather than emotional. There was no sign of last-minute negotiation or softening. Andrew's isolation on that day aligned with a broader pattern of distance that had been steadily enforced under Charles. Andrew remained outside the palace gates. His daughters were welcomed inside. Princess Beatrice attended the lunch, greeting relatives and participating fully in the family gathering. The contrast between father and daughter was striking. This separation highlighted how carefully the royal family has drawn its lines. Beatrice's presence signaled that Andrew's status does not automatically extend to his children. She was included without qualification, treated as a full member of the family unit during a key moment of visibility. The visual messaging was subtle but firm. Beatrice's attendance showed continuity and acceptance, while Andrew's absence emphasized consequence. The family did not close ranks around him. Instead, it chose to move forward without him. Princess Eugenie was also present at the palace, reinforcing that this was not a case of excluding an entire branch of the family. Like her sister, she arrived openly and without hesitation, participating in the same traditions Andrew was barred from. Her inclusion further underscored the intentional nature of Andrew's isolation. This was not about logistics or scheduling. It was about personal accountability. Eugenie's presence demonstrated that the family could maintain relationships with Andrew's children while still enforcing distance from him. For Andrew, the image was unavoidable. His daughters were inside, smiling and engaged, while he remained outside, alone. The emotional weight of that contrast did not require commentary. It was already clear. The backdrop to all of this remains Andrew's association with Jeffrey Epstein. That connection continues to define his public standing and has never fully faded from scrutiny. New revelations and renewed attention ensure the issue remains active, not historical. Andrew's withdrawal from royal life followed intense public backlash tied to these associations. His loss of roles and titles was a direct result, and his absence from family events has since become routine. The horseback ride occurred against this unresolved context. Nothing about the Christmas lunch exists in isolation from that history. The royal family's decisions continue to reflect an understanding that public trust has limits, and Andrew crossed them. His exclusion is not temporary optics management. It is ongoing consequence. Traditionally, moments like the pre-Christmas lunch are designed to project stability. For decades, these gatherings functioned as reassurance that internal disagreement stayed behind palace walls. This year, the approach shifted. The family did not attempt to manufacture unity at all costs. Instead, it allowed division to be visible. Andrew's absence was not concealed, and his solitary ride ensured it would be noticed. The monarchy appeared willing to accept discomfort in exchange for clarity. This reflects a broader evolution in how the institution manages crisis. Silence and separation have replaced collective appearances. The royal family is signaling that reputational protection now outweighs traditional optics of togetherness. Andrew's physical isolation mirrors his changing living situation. Reports indicate he is preparing to leave Royal Lodge, the large estate where he has resided, and move into a smaller property on the Sandringham estate. This move is widely viewed as symbolic as well as practical. Royal Lodge represents status and permanence. Downsizing to a smaller residence signals reduced standing and diminished influence within the royal hierarchy. The process reportedly involved transferring belongings into storage, a tangible sign of transition. It reinforces the idea that Andrew's former life within the institution is not paused, but ending. The question surrounding Andrew's horseback ride remains unresolved. Was it a silent protest, a personal routine, or simply the only option left to him? Experts have debated whether his body language suggested defiance or resignation. What is clear is that the image worked as communication, whether intended or not. His stiff posture and solitary path contrasted sharply with the warmth unfolding inside the palace. The narrative wrote itself. Andrew did not issue statements or offer explanations. He did not need to. The message was delivered visually, and it aligned with the reality he now occupies, present but excluded. Looking ahead, there is little indication that this divide will close anytime soon. The royal family has shown no urgency to reintegrate Andrew into public or private events. His daughter's inclusion appears to be the limit of compromise. The monarchy continues to balance family ties against public perception, and Andrew remains on the losing side of that equation. His isolation has become normalized, not contested. As the institution moves forward, moments like this Christmas lunch clarified priorities. Boundaries are being drawn, and they are being enforced quietly but consistently. If you want to keep following how these royal dynamics continue to unfold, make sure to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaping the monarchy. This wasn't the first time Prince Andrew has been notably absent from a royal moment, and it likely won't be the last. Since stepping down from public duties, his appearances have become increasingly rare, and when they do occur, they tend to say more by what they don't include. There's no military regalia, no waving from balconies, and now, no place at the family table. What makes this latest incident more pointed is the context. It wasn't a national event or a formal affair. It was a family gathering, one that traditionally included everyone, from working royals to distant cousins. And yet Andrew, once considered central to the family's inner circle, was unmistakably absent. In a monarchy built on image, optics are everything. And seeing Andrew left out of something so foundational as a pre-Christmas lunch paints a picture of a man whose fall from grace is not only public, it's being institutionalized. The silence around his absence only adds to the volume of the message being sent. King Charles' approach to the situation has been deliberate and controlled. He hasn't wavered in his stance since taking the throne. There's been no public rehabilitation campaign, no gentle re-entry. Instead, Charles has kept the message consistent. The future of a monarchy is one of responsibility and reputation, not sentiment. That said, his continued closeness with Andrew's daughters has not gone unnoticed. Charles' ability to differentiate between Andrew and his children suggests a compartmentalized end of personal and public priorities. He is keeping family ties intact where possible, but drawing hard lines where necessary. This approach mirrors his broader leadership style, more corporate, more image-focused, and less indulgent to scandal. There's no room for ambiguity anymore. Under Charles, the monarchy is being treated more like a brand than a birthright, and Andrew is on the outside of both. The root cause of Andrew's downfall hasn't disappeared. His name remains tied to the Epstein scandal, and no amount of silence or solitude will untangle that. The settlement, the interviews, the allegations, they are part of the public record now, and they follow him everywhere, including to Windsor on a rainy day. Even as other institutions and public figures seek to move past the Epstein legacy, Andrew's name remains firmly attached. His lawsuit settlement didn't restore his reputation. It simply closed one chapter. The damage to his standing was not healed, it was documented. The palace knows this. They understand that proximity to Andrew, in any official capacity, invites scrutiny, and so they've made a choice, to keep him at arm's length and to let the image of that distance speak for it. It's this strategy that makes the inclusion of Beatrice and Eugenie so interesting. By all accounts, they maintain close relationships with both their father and the rest of the family. Their presence at the lunch shows that lines are being drawn with surgical precision. For Beatrice, this must be a delicate balance. Supporting her father privately while participating in royal events publicly, her visible presence at the lunch was a reminder that not everyone in the York family has been cast out, but also that the terms of inclusion are strict. Whether Beatrice's standing within the royal fold will remain secure long-term depends on a few things. Public perception is one, but so is the behavior of her father. As long as Andrew remains in the shadows and doesn't disrupt the carefully controlled image of the firm, his daughters may remain insulated. Andrew's looming departure from Royal Lodge only cements the symbolism of his decline. The estate isn't just a home. It's a privilege, a status marker within the royal world. Losing it is more than an inconvenience. It's a statement. He is not being evicted suddenly or without notice, but the direction is clear. A smaller property on the Sandringham estate may offer privacy, but it also strips away the visibility and prestige that Royal Lodge once provided. It's a downgrade, both in material terms and in what it represents. The move also signals a shift in how the institution is managing its internal assets. Properties once held for senior royals are now being reallocated based on standing and function. If you're not working for the crown, you're no longer guaranteed the perks that come with it. All of this reinforces how the royal family is evolving its crisis management strategy. Where previous generations might have opted for quiet reintegration or simply letting time do the work, today's royals are more likely to use absence as a message. There's a growing trend of visible boundaries. Not everything is being handled behind closed doors anymore. The family is letting the optics speak. Who shows up, who doesn't, who's smiling at the gate, and who's alone in the rain. It's subtle, but it's also very calculated. For the public, these visuals become a kind of scoreboard. Not everyone reads press releases or understands titles, but everyone can understand who's invited to Christmas lunch. And that clarity, even if it's silent, is part of the monarchy's new playbook. Queen Camilla's role in these family dynamics is also relevant. Though she didn't publicly comment on Andrew's exclusion, her position as queen consort carries weight. The fact that no apparent effort was made by her to bridge the divide during such a visible event signals unity with Charles' stance. Her presence, warm and unbothered inside the palace, contrasted with Andrew's absence. That duality reinforced that the current royal leadership is aligned on the issue. There's no rogue sympathy act, no back-channel reconciliation. Camilla, once a controversial figure herself, now represents part of the institution that has drawn a firm line. And her participation in these carefully curated events further solidifies a message. Inclusion is earned and maintained through stability, not controversy. Despite everything, there's still a lingering question. What does Andrew want? Was the horseback ride meant to send a message? A refusal to disappear completely? A quiet protest? Or was it just an unfortunate coincidence, captured at the worst possible moment? Whatever the intent, the effect was the same. He was visible, but separate, present in proximity, but absent in participation. The symbolism was too perfect to ignore and too consistent with everything we've seen over the past year. If it was meant as a message, it worked. If it wasn't, it still delivered one. Either way, the ride cemented his status as a royal on the outside, navigating rainy roads while the family dined behind palace walls. Interestingly, the narrative surrounding Andrew contrasts sharply with the sympathetic tone often extended to other royals facing difficult moments. Princess Catherine, for instance, when seen looking weary or subdued, is interpreted through a lens of concern and care. Andrew doesn't get that benefit. His solemn appearances aren't met with empathy. They're analyzed as strategic or defensive. The emotional language is stripped out. There's no talk of stress or burden, just consequence. That difference in treatment speaks volumes. It shows how public sentiment has hardened around Andrew, to the point where even mundane actions are viewed with suspicion or read as calculated. He's no longer a person with context. He's a headline. Prince William, meanwhile, has maintained distance without drama. His role as heir comes with expectations, and navigating Andrew's presence has been part of that. He hasn't had to make public pronouncements. His silence speaks clearly enough. William's increasing visibility during key moments like the Christmas lunch reinforces his growing stature in contrast to Andrew's decline. One brother steps up while the other is stepped over. The balance has shifted, and there's no sign of reversal. What once was a shared stage between royal siblings has now become a study in divergence. William represents the future. Andrew, whether he accepts it or not, is part of the past the institution is ready to leave behind. Andrew's situation is no longer seen as part of a scandal cycle. It's become a new status quo. He has been scrubbed from official duties, public roles, and now even private family optics. The silence surrounding him isn't just passive, it's active. No interviews, no subtle re-entries, no easing back into the fold. And yet, moments like this, that stark, rain-drenched ride through Windsor, remind the public that he's still there, just not in it. Not in the monarchy's inner circle, not on the balcony, not at the table. His presence is more ghost than guest. For a man once granted nearly untouchable royal privilege, the fall has been steady and methodical. There's no dramatic exit, just a quiet erasure by degrees. One title gone, then another, one event skipped, then all. His public identity as a royal is now a relic of the past, and the institution seems determined to keep it that way. The royal family has made it clear this isn't just about individual scandal. It's about structural survival. In a world where reputation equals relevance, they are not risking the entire brand to protect one problematic member. Even if that member is a son, a brother, a father. And the way they've handled it? No statements, no pity press, just deliberate distance. They are letting people connect the dots themselves. When Beatrice and Eugenie show up, but Andrew doesn't, the story writes itself. That approach is effective because it removes the drama and replaces it with discipline. No messy contradictions, no mixed messaging. Just a clear line in the sand. If your presence undermines the institution, you don't get to stand in front of the cameras anymore, even if you share the last name. Andrew's rumored relocation to a smaller residence at Sandringham is another brick in the wall. This isn't just a matter of downsizing, it's a controlled transition. Royal Lodge was more than a home. It was a symbol of permanence and prestige. Packing up and moving out? That's not subtle. That's surrender. The optics of storing belongings, clearing out rooms, and stepping away from the estate he once insisted on staying and send a message louder than any tabloid headline. It's a monarchy slowly pulling back everything it once extended, not out of cruelty, but calculation. And even if Andrew sees this as a humiliation, the family sees it as containment. Removing access, reducing visibility, and avoiding any chance of a reappearance at the wrong time. His circle is getting smaller by the month, and for the royals, that's a plan. Ultimately, this all circles back to King Charles. He inherited more than a throne. He inherited a crisis. And unlike the late Queen, who leaned on time and silence, Charles is using action and separation. There's no denying that it's personal. This is his brother, but the crown isn't sentimental. Under Charles, the monarchy is being molded into something leaner, more image-conscious, and less tolerant of reputational risk. And that means Andrew stays outside the frame, rain or shine. Whether the public ever sees him officially reappear again is unclear. But what's clear is that his current state, isolated, diminished, and symbolically sidelined, is no accident. It's the outcome of the monarchy deciding that survival comes first. So what do you think? Was that horseback ride a silent protest or just a sad coincidence? Should the royal family draw such a hard line, or is there room for private forgiveness? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're still watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this never-ending royal saga.